Hello and welcome back to Silica Valley. My name is Andy and today we're at Cooper's Bar in Dover, a converted single garage which still looks exactly like a garage from the outside. During the 360 shot we enter from the kitchen and the dimensions are 5 metres by 4 metres. There is bench seating near the entrance followed by a lovely alcove. Right behind this wall is the actual garage door, which I'll say more about later, and then a large fridge. I love the celebrity feel in this bar, especially the hot pink glittering sequin wall. And finally, we're at the bar. I've turned down the exposure on the camera because it's so beautifully bright in here. This bench seat serves three purposes. It's a practical seat, of course. It's also storage, which completely makes sense. And finally, it's a stage to perform upon. Stepping back from the bench, a sign above the entrance proclaims you have arrived. But notice the brown boxing to the side. This hides the ugly electrical junctions which so often are in the garage, but here they're discreetly tucked away. Sorry about the blurring here. Fairy lights detail the border between ceiling and wall as we approach the alcove. This alcove is a good example of making best use of the space. We can already see that lighting and colour play a big part in the ambience at Cooper's Bar, and this alcove with the pink sequins, the neon sign and other embellishments make it a focal point, but the only reason it exists at all is because above, hidden away, is the gas meter. Paul built out this entire section in order to hide the meter, and it's a great effect. I mentioned earlier that this wall hides the old garage door. Paul goes into some detail about this during the interview at the end, and he especially talks about soundproofing, but from the outside it looks just like a garage. This projector was chosen instead of a television to prevent the space being closed in by a bulky TV. It projects a 100-inch image onto the opposite wall. And if you've ever wondered how to hide a copper pipe, here's a solution. It's wrapped with cable tidies and then secured with tie wraps. You may have noticed a small laser disco light in the alcove, which cost only £27. There's another on the bench. There's a disco light on the projector and one on top of this large fridge. These other disco lights were only £12 per pair. You can see that the fridge sits in a tricky little space which would be redundant if it weren't for the fridge. A really good use of dead space. Glancing down at the floor, there is a pair of moving head disco lights. These were £180. It really can be party central in here. And when you're done partying, just collapse onto the couch. There's also a subwoofer tucked away in the corner here, together with a smoke machine. If the theme of this bar is glamour, this massive sequin wall is the cream on top of the bedazzled cake. Becky found this amazing effect, which you've already seen in the alcove. The panel we're looking at here is 1.5 metres by 2.5 metres. They come in 30 square centimetre pieces and there are 48 of them here. In total they paid only £160 for this effect, which I think is an absolute steal. Add the gorgeous neon sign for £40 from Next and you have a real headline act, which is the first big impression you get when walking into the bar. The bar area has a preparation counter and a serving counter. All of this wood for the bar has been collected as scrap and leftovers over time. It doesn't look like recycled wood, but it is. It's very solid and it's underlit too. Many cocktails are served here and all the necessary paraphernalia is easily to hand. Spirits on the counter and in optics, some sugar syrup, and below another fridge, mostly for wine, but with a little beer at the bottom. We can see that glasses storage is no problem either, and the underlighting extends into this space. I really wish I'd done that in my bar. Let's take a closer look at the beer dispenser. The brand is Tower and it cost only £45 from Iceland Frozen Food Store of all places. They are still available in March 2023 from the same place at only £49. But don't accidentally go to Boots because you'll be paying a whopping £199. As with most of these beer dispensers, the kegs cost about £15 each and you can get deals on them too. Paul is really happy with his, and at £49 it seems like a bargain if you're into draft beer in your home bar. The description on Iceland says it's 4 litres, but Paul has been using the standard 5 litre kegs which are widely available with no problem at all. Just one extra note on this, Paul has a big fridge, you've seen it. Kegs for these beer dispensers take a long time to cool down, and for practical purposes it's better to do that in the fridge first rather than rely on the dispenser. In other words, you need some room in the fridge and time to get them cooled down too. If you leave it to the dispenser to cool down the keg, Paul tells me it'll take about 12 hours. To summarise, this is Paul and Becky's bar. Every single bar I visit is a reflection of the owner, and it's frankly one of the most exciting things about nosing around them. I love the glamour and the sparkle in here. It's so colourful, and walking in, the key features like the gorgeous wall and the serving counter itself really draw the eye and invite you to party. I also love that they've hidden it from the outside by keeping the outside garage door as a mask, and they've really paid attention to keeping it soundproofed. After all, it's really hard to enjoy yourself if you know that you're disturbing the neighbours. There's an interview with Paul coming up where he goes into much more detail about some of the build and some of the technical details. Stick around for that and remember to subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss any of the great content we've got coming up. We've got lots of home bars left to tour and we'd love it if you'd come along. So stick around for the interview and thanks for watching. It's fantastic of you to let us come and see your bar, Paul. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming down and seeing it, Andy.
Oh, you're a long way away from Southport, my friend.
I am indeed. Yes, I am. Yeah, it's a bit of a journey for you. Definitely.
Yeah, so introduce us to your bar. What's it called?
So, yeah, this is Cooper's Bar.
Okay.
This is a vision of just basically a few drinks around the table one day. Yeah. And, yeah, we just went ahead with it. And now we're in here. It's great.
Yeah, I know. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a great little space. I've really enjoyed filming around it. Some really unique and, again, personal touches. Yeah. To the place. Well, we'll get into all of that. Yeah. First, some practical matters. Yeah. You've been open for how long now?
So we officially opened on the 16th of December.
Okay, and we're filming toward the end of January, well, beginning of February now.
Yeah, we are, yeah. So we had a massive party with fireworks, open party, fireworks and everything.
Magnificent.
So, yeah, it was a great night, definitely.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, so you've been open for a month, but how long was it between when you first started work on it and when you finished? Yeah. When you served your first drink in the finished version?
Yeah, so we started at the end of August.
Yeah.
And then we pretty much opened on December the 16th.
Right.
So not long at all for the kind of the work that we did.
Well, it's about 3.5 months, isn't it? So what do you mean by the work that you did?
Yeah, so it was me and my friend Ross, who basically, he came round one day and said, yeah, we can do that. And then we both did it ourselves. No input from anybody else. We built everything with ourselves. We didn't even have any experience of this at all. Yeah. And we just.
So you're not, neither of you are like joiners or anything like that.
No, not at all. No, not at all. First time we're doing pretty much all of this stuff, and we kind of learned as we went along.
That's a pretty brave move, I'd say.
Definitely. Definitely. And I learn a lot now, and I know a lot from it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's interesting. So you were kind of figuring it as you went along. Tell me if there's anything that you feel as though you did it wrong.
So yeah, what I would do differently is I would try and plan the things that I've stuck in after. So the lights, for instance, I put extra sockets in the room, but there was somewhere I would have probably put more data cables, like HDMI cables, in different areas. So for instance, we put a hole in the wall for a plug, and then when we're not going to use it, put a TV there now, we're going to put a projector. So they're the little things. If I'd have thought out long term, I'd have changed differently. With that.
Do you put that down to rushing or just not thinking of it? Or
not thinking of it, because the projector was a second option. So the TVs are twice as much of what a projector is now for the small screen that you get. So actually, I didn't really think about it at the time until literally I went, actually, a projector's probably a better option. Because we haven't got this, you haven't got that big block on the wall. Where you've just got a little kind of thing, on the
It is quite discreet, and it's at that end, and it projects to the, I guess, the house end of
that's it.
The bar's an old garage, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it started off as just a room that had bins in it, and we was like, well, actually, it's not really doing anything for us. We can't get the car in because the car's too long.
Right.
Classic. I sold the house with a garage, and unfortunately, the car doesn't fit in. So, so we went, well, why don't we just change it to the bar? And it's kind of transformed from there,
So had you fancied one for a long time before that?
Yeah. So we the optics was actually brought in 2020. That's how long ago. So we haven't lived here that long. It was originally going to be an outside bar, and we kind of just thought, well, this will be the natural place to do it. It's an all-round bar. Any time we can come in as well, and that's where it all started from, really.
Right.
It's got its own separate toilet area to the house. It's got its own basin area and that as well. So even if you wanted to come in without disturbing the house, you can. There's a separate entrance to it, and we thought it was the best option for us.
Fabulous. All right. Tell me, please, or tell our viewers about the whole garage door scenario.
Yeah.
So this is the old garage.
Yeah.
It looks like it's still a garage from the outside.
It does, yes.
What the hell's going on?
Yes. So that was the magic of doing it, actually. So we had a look about getting it bricked up first of all, and the window going in. But we felt that there would be probably a planning permission need to be done with that. And what we wanted to try and do is keep the unique kind of look of the house at the front as well. So we decided to completely take all the gubbins completely out of the garage door, leave just the garage door, and then preserve it. And then we started to pretty much take all the old wooden frame out and put a whole new wooden frame in, so we'd know that we got longevity with it. So we took it completely off, preserved it all, and then basically put it back in and bolted it all back in. So it's literally now waterproof as well. So, but
something else we're talking about, what do you think of in advance? But something you did think about in advance was soundproofing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But specifically in relation to the garage door, how did you make sure you weren't going to disturb your neighbours?
When I originally had it just as a garage, when I was doing little things near just the music, you could hear it continuously outside. And that's what I didn't want, because actually it's quite embarrassing if you've got music on in here and outside all you can hear as well. So that was one of my key features. If we're going to do it, we need to soundproof. And that was kind of my mindset, is if we're going to go with that option, it needs to be soundproof.
So how did you go about it with regard to the door area specifically?
So how we pretty much...
Yeah, because you put all the gubbins back in.
Yeah.
So you knew that you'd sealed behind it. You used foam spray as well.
Yeah, we did.
To seal up all the gaps.
Yeah.
I think what you said before is you didn't want to let any sound through or
100%
leak through or whatever.
100%. Yeah.
And then the boarding that you put in front of it.
Yeah. So we put the rock wall soundproofing in there first. There was 2 layers before that of insulation, so we knew there was not going to be any draft coming in.
Right.
And that was the kind of the main thing as well, because obviously it's still a garage. It was a garage.
Yeah.
It would still get cold if we didn't insulate correctly.
Yeah.
So we then did the insulation boards, and then we did rock wall, which was the 100mm rock wall.
Yeah.
And then after that we went with the soundproofing acoustic soundboarding. And that then kind of give us that, when we went outside and turned on the music as loud as we could barely hear it, and that was even after then we put the secondary layer on as well, which are the thermal insulating as well that we did.
So one of the things you definitely thought about in advance was deadening sound, and that carried through to the other walls and the floor.
It did, yes. So the floor itself, what I didn't want to do is when you are either walking on the floor or when you are dancing, there's that banging noise that kind of, and that would echo throughout. So that's why we actually insulated the floor as well. There's actually nearly 3 layers to our floor as well, just to stop that effect, which also was to raise the floor up a little bit as well.
Yeah, because you had a tricky little step into here with it being a garage before, yeah.
Yes, we did. So there's a 75mm step that we had to try and kind of overcome. So we worked it out that if we went up 75mm, pretty much as we went along, we could get to that step and cover it over with the actual loft boards as well.
Yeah. Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay,
definitely.
And there's some very, very sort of personal touches in here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the gorgeous wall, the cheers sign.
Yeah.
You know, the sign behind you there.
Yeah.
You know, what's you thinking? What's the theme you're going for here? Had you seen something somewhere? Or?
No, this is all literally just what we saw, and we wanted to go with a slight glamour. So we all know sometimes it's easy to say yes to the missus or the wife, and the glamour wall was actually her vision, and it come out, I think, one of the best kind of walls that I've seen.
It's absolutely stunning. I adore it, and my wife is going to go nuts when she sees it.
It was just a fantastic and just such a simple idea as well.
Yeah.
That kind of transforms it. There was little subtle things that we've put in there. So, for instance, underneath the floor, we've actually put in like a little time capsule. So it's there's a kind of a different colour board on the floor. And underneath there is a picture of us as a family with our story of how we got from day one to the bar being finished.
Amazing.
And so for anybody, take the flooring up if we move, they would then see what we did, what the purpose was.
That's a lovely touch.
And it's great, and I've always got that to kind of fall back on when if I take it up, even I've got the picture of it as well. So
that's amazing.
And it's something that we'll probably forget about as well.
Yeah,
that's the funny thing.
Well, the internet won't forget.
No, definitely not. But we might even just forget, and then all of a sudden take the flooring up to change the flooring, and all of a sudden it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But there's little things like the sign behind the Secret Love Song. That was our wedding song, so a little bit of a personal touch in there as well.
Lovely. Yeah.
So it's little things like that will makes a difference to make it feel more like a homely bar than just actually being a generic bar.
So what style of bar would you call it? Bistro, pub, cocktail,
more
lounge?
Cocktail kind of glamour bar, I'd probably say. I would even try to put a slash there now into a club, because that's what it's kind of...
Club?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
in terms of
you're thinking about the lights there,
I
aren't
am, yes.
So okay, that's fantastic.
Definitely, definitely.
Right. Well, we'll let the audience be the judge of that, shall we?
Yeah, definitely. Comment definitely which one you think it is. Stroke club, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think it's spectacular. I loved what you did with the copper pipe across the top as well, with the sleeving there. Just tell us the little story of the end bit there.
Yeah, so the copper pipe was a bane of my life because the trunking just wouldn't fit because there's a curve in the actual copper pipe. So for what we actually did is actually put cable kind of tidies around, and then we got to this bit here, and unfortunately it didn't look right, so we actually made a pipe to carry on to actually allow it to...
so the pipe went through the wall at that point, didn't it?
Yes, it does, to go to the boiler.
But it was an incomplete length of the ceiling, so we wanted to finish it off.
We actually cut down a decorating pole, and it matched. So it's great, and it just finishes it off nicely. There's little things that just took that bit of time, but just makes such a difference as well. Even the lights going around the room, that's just a wire, and each individual LED is glued, so they stay in place.
Honestly?
Yes, every single one of them.
That's attention to detail, isn't it?
It's just because I didn't want it to move, and the annoying thing is if it drops, so every single one of them is literally glued in place.
Okay. What would you do differently if you were doing it again?
It would be around the media stuff. So I didn't want any wires showing, and I've still got wires showing that I probably didn't want.
Can we share a dirty little secret with everybody who's watching?
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to just reach under the counter there and pull this particular basket out here.
Yes.
Why don't you just talk us through your obsession?
Yeah, so I've got it looks like a remote control.
Lift it up a little bit more.
It looks like a remote control obsession, doesn't it?
No, it is a remote control obsession.
This is lights, projector, TV. It looks like an obsession.
But this is the whole wireless thing that you were going for.
Correct. So I didn't want to see wires, and that's one of the things that I would change. So there's a wire under the bar that frustrates me, and I know it's just one wire, but to me I see it.
It's doing reading.
You know, so, but other than that, I wouldn't change anything. I think it's been a fantastic journey. It really has. And I've enjoyed every minute of it coming home. It's been painful some nights staying up till whatever time to get stuff done, but the end result is a room that all our family go in daily. No, not you know, compared to never going in it before. From my son who uses it as a gaming room because he's got a 100-inch screen.
Why not? Yeah.
You know, to coming in there just to chill out really as well. So put the music on, don't have to worry about how loud it is because you can't hear it.
Yeah.
So
how much did it cost?
So overall, the whole project itself, there is a little bit extras in terms of the lighting because obviously that is additional. So for the cost of it all, it was around about £2,000.
I mean, that's a skinny budget, isn't it? You've done really well there, haven't you?
It's we've watched the pennies. Don't get me wrong, but we've made sure that we get good quality stuff when we need to.
Yeah.
We did a really good job in terms of recycling a lot of wood. We got a lot of free wood. Which made this bar. So this whole bar is actually free. We didn't pay for any of it.
You didn't pay for any of it?
No.
It's nice and solid, isn't it? You know, there's nothing wrong with it.
The actual worktops that we previously had, all the wood to make it was all free. And that's the thing I'm quite passionate about, is this wood could have just gone anywhere and we've recycled it to make this. You know, and that's the thing. And the great thing is as well, it's not even screwed down.
It's just freestanding,
This is freestanding, and it will not move because of the weight that's on it. So if at any point we want to change what we want to do in terms of the layout, we can pick it up and move it.
Just move it around, Well, I think you've done a great job of it. I did notice that you went for a prep counter and serving counter.
Yeah.
What were you thinking of there?
I just always had this vision of being able to make our drinks in front of us and then present it. I think that's more of a bar kind of area than having it completely flat.
So you feel from a guest experience point of view, it feels more, the finished article comes, you know that it's made and you're ready to drink it.
100%. Where I just think if you've got a flat counter, it's more like a kitchen, you're serving a cup of tea or something. Yeah. It's more of an experience as well, you know. And again, it's just the mats as well, having them with our names on.
They're all personalised.
They are, they are, and drinks that we had at our wedding and stuff as well.
Are they?
They are, yes.
Oh, what a lovely touch!
Yeah. So all these were little drinks that we had at the wedding last year.
It's amazing. Well. Some of the people who watch this film are wondering whether or not they should start investing. They may not be able to do it for £2,000. Yeah. There could be bigger or smaller budgets. Yeah. What's your advice? What do you think people should do?
Research. So if you can have a look at trying to get some bits free, there is a lot of reclaim centres out there. There's a lot of stores now that do a lot of good in terms of not throwing stuff away. So have a look at hardware stores and see if they.
So they might have like bins at the front where there's stuff you can free cycle.
Yeah. So for instance, you can get full boards which they just want to do a donation to. Go and see them if if your budgets are quite small. You can always do it. And you can always add on to it as well over time. So don't always think of it being, it doesn't look great at the moment. You can build on to that as well. And that's what we did. We literally, as we was going along, I was like, well, I need this now, and found the cheapest source of doing so as well. Yeah. Shop around, it makes a huge difference. It really does.
Brilliant. Well, once again, on behalf of everybody watching the film, thank you so much for talking to us and allowing me to invade your bar
for the evening. It's nice having you here.
All right, lovely. Thanks.
Thank you.